KD is in the same conference as Steph and the Warriors. Now, he's not there right now. But eventually, if and when he comes back, he was playing at an exceptionally high level when he got hurt. He's got Devin Booker. He's got CP3. The Warriors won before him, with him, and after him. Now that he's in the same conference, this could be a legacy enhancer for KD, or it could devastate him in this sense. If Steph gets by him in the same conference and goes on to win another title, now your arguments about Steph and all that, it's the LeBron-Steph era. He starts to shoot up that top 10 list, and KD, suddenly that LeBron-KD thing, it's, oh, let's put the brakes on that. It's really LeBron-Steph. I think this is huge.
Have you seen what the Warriors' road record is?
Awful.
It's
Well,
horrible.
they're like 8 and something.
It's
But
horrible.
don't you think it's their veteran team saving it for the home crowd
I don't know if
right
they're
now?
saving it. I think there's been a lot of holes that they've been trying to plug. I think there's issues on the defensive end. But, we'll see when Gary Payton comes back and plays. Because I think that's a great dimension to their game. But I don't know, man. For me, like when I watch Golden State has the pieces to be there. I don't have the Phoenix Suns winning it. Kevin Durant's going to come back, a couple of games left in the season? And we expect this team just to be like, pick up the pieces. Like, have you seen, they still have issues on the defensive end. They still have issues when you take D-Book and Kevin Durant out of the game.
Kind of like a version of the Mavs, right? Those two have to go off for them to win.
There's a lot of questions for Phoenix. I frankly believe our Golden State is probably better positioned, even with their road record, to be more of a contender against Denver than Phoenix is, because I worry about KD hitting the ground running.
See, I don't worry about him hitting the ground running. The 4 or 5 games that he did play in, he looked like Kevin Durant. And every time he comes back off an injury, he looks like Kevin Durant. So that's why I don't really worry much about him at all.
You picking Phoenix
I don't mind him hitting the ground just as long as he's running.
Jay?
You guys picking Phoenix to win the West, Key?
I'm not picking Phoenix to win the West as long as the Lakers are in there. You know that.
Jeez.
Yeah, you got to stop that right now. Listen,
you already know how I feel about that, though. But no, I would probably. I'm more inclined to pick Golden State.
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to pick Golden State despite their road record, because the veteran leadership is just something about they know what to do and how to turn the switch on when it counts most, I guess.
I mean, if Steph gets by not only the Suns but like Denver, who's played this is what I mean. We were just talking about Rodgers and high stakes, high risk, high reward going to the Jets, right? Does the reward outweigh the risk? Well, you have no choice in the NBA. You got to play who's there. But this can be an enormous legacy enhancer for Steph, but it could also devastate, especially Jokic, because they've been healthy all year and play with, but also could be bad for KD. Like, that's the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat in sports.
Enhancer for Steph for what?
And if Steph, with now KD in the conference, Jokic, if he wins his 3rd MVP, with a healthy cast, if Steph, who they have not been able to win on the road all year, all that, he wins and he goes back to back. Now your arguments for Steph, Jay, and where he ranks all time, he starts to shoot up that top 10 list.
Yeah, I mean, but if they don't, they are who we thought they were. It is Denver's conference. They are the best team, top to bottom, in the conference. They should win. Ja Morant, we don't know when he's coming back to play for Memphis, okay? I like Sacramento a lot. A lot of people don't believe in Sacramento because of lack of experience in the playoffs, right? Golden State, they've been injured. Steph has been injured. There's issues on the defensive end. Their road record, not as good. Like, you got a lot of teams in that conference. The Lakers, what's going on with LeBron James? Will he be able to come back? They're offending. Like, we just talk about all these.
Zion and
the Pelicans. It's set up for Denver and Phoenix. Kevin Durant being out, them missing pieces of their team. Jay Crowder, defensive wing pieces. It is set up for Denver. If
Dallas,
Denver
there's a lot
doesn't win
on
it,
the line.
Denver is the loser.
Well, see, I think
if Denver doesn't win, they are the loser.
I think Denver's regular season record is different than the postseason, right? Because you go 7 games versus a game here, a game there, of teams that teams that would challenge you. Where in the playoffs, you're getting the best of the best at that moment in time. You may draw the lower seed, but does Denver really want to see a healthy Laker team? Do they really want to see a healthy Laker team?
If I were them.
Especially the way D'Angelo has been playing lately.
Yeah, I mean, you got no choice.
I wouldn't if I were them.
I would. AD obviously had a bad
want to see the
game
Laker
against
team.
the Knicks. he had a bad game against the Knicks, but do you really want to see
Nope.
him?
AD started to play like the AD who got Jokic in the playoffs in the bubble.
Bravado, though,
bring
Jay.
anybody.
You
I don't care
putting
who
your
you are.
chest out with I'll take on anybody. I'm talking about realistically. Do they want to see?
Because if I'm Denver, I got something to prove. Because there's always going to be like, well, do you want to see this team?
Yeah, but guess
do you
what?
want to see
the
that
Lakers
team?
got something to prove too.
Understood. But now also, like, you come into the Mile High City. Like, you have to play like in that upper echelon, you know what I mean, as it relates to like the air.
But the pressure's on them because, as you said, you set it up, I think, properly. When we talk about constructing narratives, here's the big narrative, right? Denver should be the favorites. Jokic has a good chance, although I think at this point Embiid is the MVP, then Giannis, then Jokic. I think objectively Embiid has the best argument, but Jokic has a good chance to win his third consecutive MVP. Has never balled out in the playoffs to the extent that he has in the regular season, right? So there's that. If with healthy crew, Jokic balls out, man, they got to advance deep, Jay. They got to get out of the West because, as you said, it's theirs to lose. So the pressure is on them. Lakers can play free and easy. Well, they got no expectations this year.
Who else is the pressure? There's no pressure on any other team other than maybe Phoenix, but KD also coming back.
Two teams, I would say. Phoenix, because of KD, once he gets back, it's like you guys got a lot.
But also, he's going to miss 2.5 weeks.
So you
like,
could set it up for next year.
I hear you on what it looks like, but it almost feels like, well, if you don't do it this year, well, we barely had time to build
we'll do it next year, right?
We'll do it next year.
Okay. Dallas, because there's a clock not so much for Luka, but for the Mavericks to keep Luka, in my opinion. They went out and got him Kyrie. Luka's hurt a little bit or misses time. Kyrie misses a game. They have to learn how to play together. The defense is no good, but you'd like to keep Kyrie, right?
Very true. I'll tell you who I think pressure is on and nobody's going to talk about. But, like, if you're the Clippers, what better year? What better year for you?
The Clippers are the ones other than Denver, actually.
You got all these pieces. Paul George, you got Russ, like you got Kawhi. You have all the pieces to do it. It's a matter. You got the coach. There's no more questions about.
You're deep.
You know what? You have all that.
Yeah. Max, it's the Clippers.
I hear you.
It's the Chargers.
That's why I said it's no better year.
It's a hard argument. It's hard to argue against that.
It's the Angels, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like
it's hard to argue against it. Yep, that just seems a pattern seems to develop, and it must get into the unconscious of the players on the team. It must seep in there because it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They wind up screwing up in the moment of truth, right? The Chargers, the Clippers, teams. You're right.
No matter how many Ty Lues and Jerry West is aligned on that side of the court.
Jerry West got.
Doesn't matter though. Doesn't matter.
So it comes back to Denver. It comes back. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure, especially since, as Key points out, the way AD has been playing recently, never mind D'Angelo Russell. If and when LeBron gets back, if I'm Denver, man, I am not trying to see the Lakers early in the playoffs.
AD is essentially, for my money, he owned the Joker. For my money.
I agree. With the chips on the line.
Potentially see Dallas, the Lakers, New Orleans, if Zion comes back. I mean, those are three legit teams.
West is super interesting this year, right? Wide open.
But, like, look, I keep going back to this. Michael Malone, the head coach, like, they had the best team. Doesn't matter who comes your way. The team that's the best team, especially this team that there's been questions around how they play in the postseason, you gotta get to them.
As of right now, you like Denver to get out of the West, yes or no?
I do.
See, I like the Warriors. I think when push comes to shove.
Why?
Because I believe that the best explanation for their road record, which is awful, by the way, their home record's great, their road record's awful, is that because of what you said, defensive issues, lots of injuries, veteran team, they're not going to be able to put the pedal to the metal. They're not going to on the road because they're going to preserve themselves for the playoffs. They'll do that at home, and that explains the home-road discrepancy. But once the playoffs start, I think they'll do that every game.
I think Denver would rise to the challenge with some of the pieces they have defensively, man. They have Reggie Jackson too, man. Like, a hell of a defender.
Yeah,
like Pest.
right.
They have good Bruce Brown on this team. Like, Pest. They have Pest.
Yeah.
They're different. People don't really watch them like that. So people don't really know. You know what I mean?
I know. And Zach Lowe recently tweeted about how people are like, well, Jokic has to get it done in the playoffs. He points out he's been deeper than Embiid has, and they've both been on good teams. But I don't trust Jokic to be the best version of himself in the playoffs because I haven't seen it yet.
Who do you trust more, Nikola Jokic or Doc Rivers?
Jokic.
Who do you trust more?
Maybe in the playoffs recently, maybe
And so,
Jokic.
like, I think about Joel Embiid. I think about Doc
But
Rivers.
that's the East, right? Like,
I know, but we're talking about those two people. If you're talking about the MVP race between those two, like if we're also saying that we want to do the MVP based upon the entirety of the body of work, just not the regular season, like you need to ask yourself that question in the MVP race.
Know who you don't have to ask that question about?
Who?
Giannis. Giannis, right? The best player in the game.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.